Our next guest, Laura, is going to talk about healing chronic illness. Let's give a warm welcome to Laura.
Hi, everyone. So my sister committed suicide 9 days ago. 9 days ago today. She suffered from mental health issues for her entire life. She normalized chronic symptoms of digestive imbalance, sleep imbalance, toxic emotions, and it all really led to her demise. My name is Laura Bautista, and I help women who are struggling with chronic health issues like autoimmune, digestive disorders, inability to lose weight, the whole gamut, but those are where most people kind of come in. I spent the last 10 years or so studying all things holistic because I myself was sick for a long time too. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was about 21, and it basically felt like my right side of my body was carrying my left. A couple of years later, I was diagnosed with urticarial vasculitis, which is essentially chronic hives. So I had islands of hives all over my body and question marks from every single doctor that I went to. I come from a family of doctors, so access was no issue. And I had baller insurance for most of my life, working at places like Columbia University Medical Center, Memorial Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson. So everything was available to me in the Western model, but nothing was shifting. There were no solutions, only question marks. When I started studying holistic medicine, and within my own body was really the starting point. So I started juicing, and I noticed that my inflammation went down, and I could actually move my limbs a little bit easier. I learned about herbs like turmeric, which actually acts as a corticosteroid in the way that it calms inflammation in the body. And it was life-changing. This really crazy statistic that I heard the other day, the CDC announced that 60% of Americans will be diagnosed with some sort of chronic disease. 60%. And that's what they're reporting. So that's a massive number, and that impacts everybody. And where it starts is with normalizing symptoms. So a chronic digestive issue, or not sleeping, but, oh, that's just my sleep pattern, things like that. That's really where it starts. Or these constant toxic thoughts that keep playing out over and over and over in your mind. If that counts as a symptom. My main focus is in homotoxicology, which is the study of human toxicity. This is a German model by Dr. Reich-Hammer, who created this, or who kind of put this all together. And what we know is that there are 6 phases of toxicity. What's powerful about that is that no matter where you fall on those 6 phases, where cancer is the last case, and excretion is the first, where things are moving and flowing, no matter where you are on the spectrum of homotoxicology, you can move to a place of excretion, to what's ideal. Another thing that I really focus on is epigenetics, which is the study of how a lot of people think, oh, well, my mom had breast cancer, or my grandma, so I'm probably going to get it. And that's just, again, normalizing this shit. It's bullshit. Because what we know now is that it's about 5% of 5% of disease expression is genetic. 95% depends on the environment. And that includes your food, the water you're drinking, the people you surround yourself with. So here we have a really beautiful environment of self-expression and love. A lot of people don't have that most of the time. So there's a lot of empowering science there. And the first thing that I really want to urge everybody to do is that whenever symptoms arise, don't normalize it, question it. And think, what could be causing this symptom? Every single symptom and every single thought has a root cause. And whether we want to know where that pain is coming from. We want to question it. Another thing I really want to urge everyone to not do is, if you've been diagnosed with some sort of chronic illness, do not believe your prognosis. Prognosis is basically what the doctor tells you is going to happen to you. So I was told that I would end up in a wheelchair, I would go blind, I would lose sensation in my lady parts, and that I would lose control of my bowels. This was my destiny. This is what I was told. None of that is the case. As you see, I'm walking, and I'm not peeing all over myself, and, but that's because I chose to question. And this is with a very medical background. Again, my dad, family of doctors, all of this. The next thing I kind of want to touch on is probably the most important thing of all of this, and it applies to every single person here and in the world, is that belief is the biggest indicator of whether or not disease is going to express in your body. Your belief matters so much. And so had I believed all of those things that I was told, my outcome may have been different. Had my sister not believed what she was told, her outcome may have also been different. So people like Bruce Lipton, he's one of the fathers of epigenetics. He's really spearheading this. Also, Reich Hammer with homotoxicology. I mean, this stuff is really, really valuable information, and it's not that popular in the U.S. because it's fucking solution based, and we're not trying to. I mean, Western medicine, and this is not a people issue. This is a system issue. So I don't shit on doctors. They're amazing. And they have their place, and Western medicine in acute situations, I mean, like if you break your leg or get shot, like I probably can't help you that much. I can like drive you to the hospital, to the ER, but I mean, there's a time and a place for all of it. But when it comes to any symptom that keeps presenting, and it starts with a whisper, that's also the case. So if you're like, oh, well, it's just this like little bit of gas, it starts with a whisper. And the gut and the brain are connected. So if you have digestive issues, it's going to affect your thoughts. A lot of people were talking about or a couple people mentioned the microbiome and things like that. Microbiome is just a fancy word for the universe of bacteria that live inside of your gut. And it's all like a fractalized thing. So as we live on this earth and we take care of it or we don't, it's reflected in how the earth, how healthy the earth is. Same with our internal bacteria. If we're not taking care of our internal bacteria by choosing clean foods, and if you need mentorship, ask for it, because Google is a rabbit hole. So one of the things that I'd like to offer, if this speaks to anyone or a friend of anyone, is I would love to offer, a 1 hour one-on-one complimentary breakthrough session where we go through what's going on in your body and kind of talk through where you're at and where you want to be. Because if you're suffering and you're doing it in silence or you're normalizing your suffering, it's going to continue you're going to go down this downward spiral and it's not going to stop. And this is not to enlist fear, because what I'm saying, the biggest part of my message, is that there are alternative solutions. These women over here at the herbal clinic, they're amazing. And they're helping people with these herbs, and this is plant medicine. These women over here too, with the drop zone, with the essential oils. That is one of my favorite forms of medicine. Homeopathy is where I really reside, because that's what's made the biggest difference for me. Because you can actually pull toxins from within the cells, outside of the cell, into your body water, and then flush them. And I'm talking about cancer cells. I'm talking about the worst of the worst. And you don't have to have cancer to get started. I mean, the idea is, the woman who spoke yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about the lymphatic system. So that does not have a heart to pump it, like how our blood can kind of clean. Our spleen right here is what cleans our blood, and then the blood kind of filters stuff out. Our lymphatic system doesn't have a heart to pump it. It's just like a separate system. So you need to move. You need to do other things. And there's so much hope. It's just, I think a lot of us are from the U.S., and I can only speak from my experience in the U.S., but find someone who, first of all, listens to you and doesn't just try to find what's broken. That's my biggest issue with the Western medicine model, is that it's all about what's broken about you. How can I fix you? And the truth is that our bodies don't break. We don't break, but we shift out of alignment, and we need to, just like we do with our breathing exercises and with yoga, and with everything that we're doing here, we just need to come back to our alignment. We need to come back to the heart and then act from that place, And it's not about positive or negative, good or bad. I love that that's been talked about a lot here, because toxic positivity is, again, toxic. It makes people feel like shit for feeling like shit. And you don't have to, because you know what? It's not about positive or negative. It's a circuit. And it's waves and it's rhythms and cycles. It's like the ocean. I spent a lot of time in the ocean when I first got here, because I just needed the earth to support me. The elements are really what support me the most. For a while it was, supplements and protocols, and that's all valid. But now the thing that supports me the most is the earth, is planting my feet or my entire body, getting dirty, and it doesn't seem like any of us really have a problem with that. We all roll around in it, and that's so good for us. But all of that stuff is valid, and I'm very curious to find out about these gene keys things. There's so much available. So finding what resonates and then getting really curious and following that path and not just waiting for someone to dictate your outcome, because that is what in the beginning I did. So I was taking daily injections. I was hospitalized all the time. I couldn't go to work here and there because I had to just lay down for a week. And after a while, I was like, there's got to be another way. My no more moment was when I went into a doctor's office, and she's like, oh, Laura, we have this new pharmaceutical, this pill, so you no longer have to take your daily injections. And I'm like, okay, great, maybe I'll try that out. She's like, but the only thing is that it's going to slow down your heart rate. I started laughing. I literally started laughing right in the office. My dad was with me, who is an MD. I looked at him and I was like, we're not doing this. I'm not doing this. And that's when I started getting into health coaching, functional medicine, which is a bridge. I believe that the sweet spot for healing is where science and spirit meet. And that's exactly where I live. I'm a bridge between science and spirit because I think a lot of people need both. At this point, I'm more into the spirit. I don't really need. Anecdotal evidence to me is much more valid than some study that I don't even know who the fuck is funding it. And so I urge you to just get really curious, really reevaluate your role in your healing process, even if you're not necessarily sick. Stop normalizing headaches, stop normalizing stomach aches or gas or, minimal symptoms, because those things can eventually move you along in the homotoxicology chart to somewhere where you don't really want to be. But even if that does happen, people like me who study this stuff, all these, ancient wisdom meets new science, we're able to kind of guide you through and get you back into your body in a way that's sustainable, because my goal for every single person that I meet and work with is that you become the doctor of you at least 80% of the time. And then the rest of the time when shit gets weird, you know where to go, you know where to look. So I hope that served you. If anybody has any questions about their personal health, or they just want to connect, or, I spent the first couple of days really just kind of keeping to myself because I was grieving, I was mourning, but this is fuel for me now. This is my sister's story of committing suicide is exactly why I do what I do, because nobody should have to suffer in a prolonged form and in a way that's normalized, where the institutions are saying, oh, try this drug. Okay, how about actually add this one? Oh, there's a side effect? Do this. Nobody talked to either of us about lifestyle, food, gluten, all of these very basic things. No one was talking to us about any of that, and I hope none of you ever have to experience that. So thank you so much for your time. And again, come connect if you feel called to do so. Love y'all.